Get me in trouble.
It was okay. Here we go. Okay, no. You know, like I said,
so the question
you were leaving, and I grabbed you. I said, "Not going nowhere."
The question is, do I feel sorry for him? Yes.
No. Now
I do feel sorry.
No, now we're changing the issue. Okay. That was best. Now it's been 18 months now, Mr. Alward. So what do you think of Mr. Alward as Premier? How he's reacting? His cabinet minister decisions? Is he? Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I do. I think that the image he has...
By the way, you're no longer involved in politics,
no, I'm
so
not.
you're just... this is like having a conversation in a coffee shop.
No, that's right.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing about Alward is he has maintained his image of integrity, which is his most important asset. The public will accept any difficult choice you make on their behalf if they believe fundamentally that you're making that decision in the collective best interest and not in some self-serving interest. And people know that he was handed a complete financial disaster.
Yeah.
There's nobody who doesn't know that.
Yeah.
There's nobody who say, well, it's the rest. People who do any kind of analysis of that deficit that he left behind, close to $1 billion over a year for a little province of New Brunswick.
It's a lot.
Realizes it was way out of range even for other people who, had the downturn in the economy. So he was handed a disaster. He's held up pretty well under that pressure, and I think people fundamentally believe he's on the right course. Now, is he doing everything right? I think not. I think
who's perfect?
Who's perfect? I don't agree with the fracking. I think that's, again, one of those long-term things that in 10 or 15 or 20 years, or maybe even 100, where the consequences of that decision, like LaPro is to New Brunswick, like clear cutting is to forestry, that is what it's going to be to our water.
But if it was in one area, I think we already had this conversation, if it was in one area only that they promised to eliminate the debt, new hospital, in one area only, that would be, for me,
I think
it would be all right, but to spread out, start drilling all around the province.
Yeah, I think that's one of the legacies that if I were to advise him and he would ask my advice, which will never happen, I'm sure.
That's right, he invited you. You were in his office.
Yes, he did invite me a couple of times into his office, and I have to say he's a perfect gentleman, and I appreciate it. And I can tell you that he hasn't taken the strongest advice I've given him, in the sense of I do believe the fracking issue is a time bomb. I believe that in my heart, and I think he's misguided to go down that road. But that aside, I think he's doing it with some level of integrity, in that he believes he doesn't believe the same as I do about the potential dangers of fracking. He's somewhat more at ease with it. And so he's making his mind up in a way that he's true to himself. And that's the important thing, is that one is true to themselves. One isn't just doing it to curry favor with a particular industry or a particular group of individuals, or as a self-sustaining political strategy.
And he's not phony.
He's not phony.
I'm a good judgment of character, and I met this guy about 6-7 years ago, and there's something about him that. Plus, he replies to his email.
Yeah.
I mean, the only two premier that replied to their email was Frank McKenna, and him.
Yeah.
And the other one never. Bernard Lord never replied to his email.
No. I think New Brunswick, what he represents is a very ordinary image of a New Brunswicker. He doesn't have.
He's not a show-off.
Great speaking skills.
Oh, he even admits that himself.
Yeah, he's not a great speaker.
No.
An inspiring speaker, but I believe. The most inspiring leaders are the ones who somehow find the fit that works for them and is true to themselves and does. Take, for example, the American politics, Santorum and Romney and Gingrich. They're all trying to be something they're not in order to get something they want.
Yeah.
Right? And ultimately, it doesn't work. I look at Barack Obama and I think one could say the same thing. But no, I think Barack actually believes in what he's fighting for.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Romney, Gingrich, Santorum, they'll say anything to get beyond that. Their message, whoever gets that Republican leadership, their message is going to change the day after.
Yeah.
They'll never be talking about women's rights again or any of that stuff. They'll put all that stuff on the back burner. But in the meantime, Santorum thinks it's a mortal sin for women to, have birth control.
But you said in part, and that's another story for in October. But you said timing is important in politics, and that's how Frank McKenna won because of Hatfield. You must admit yourself, you're involved in politics. When you first hear that David Alward was running for the leadership, you must have laughed.
No, I didn't laugh.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
I did.
I didn't know that he was going to win. I didn't have any perspective on it. But, the one thing I've learned is that nobody looks like a premier until they've actually put on a pair of premier shoes. So Frank McKenna didn't look like a premier before he was premier. It was, to me, I remember when even the week before he got elected, I couldn't imagine. I was like, I can't believe Hatfield, I virtually had grown up with Hatfield. And I just couldn't believe that, Frank was going to win this, even though the polls, and I knew we were going to win, but it seemed so out of character that he was going to do it. But he did, and then he made it into his image. And he did a good job of it, I think. And I think history will judge him rather kindly. But I think his post-premiership is a disgrace in the sense of...
that was in part one. But as you turn around...
Now, when I say a disgrace, I mean in terms of Liberals, yes, he's great with, Toronto Dominion Bank and all that stuff. And great career, and he's a philanthropist and all that stuff.
All going.
He's great. Okay, good for him. But as far as his treatment, his counsel to Sean Graham, not keeping him out of trouble, putting in his...
You must have ADHD. You're jumping to that story again. One more thing.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Well, you say the word and I have to...
Listen.
Yeah.
I
should get off that subject.
We are in... you can't stop yourself.
No.
Leopard never changes his spots.
I'm not better at him. I just don't think it was a good...
I know. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's a good man in many ways.
2012.
Yeah.
That's what we are now. What's going to happen in that provincial election? Can the Liberal come back after losing one term after that disaster?
The word "can" is...
Alward must screw up.
Anywhere. I think Alward would really have to have a royal screw up. I mean, he's got lots of people grumbling, okay? But grumbling isn't the same as visceral anger. Now with the fracking, he does have that. Yeah. But I think ordinary rural New Brunswickers, average New Brunswickers, urban New Brunswickers, so far, when they compare him to, say, Sean Graham or even Bernie Lord for that matter, they think, well, he might not be a rock star or anything like that, but he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's the one.
And he's what we want.
And when he goes in the crowd, like the RCMP told me, Sean Graham will go to a crowd in 15 minutes. 50 people, 15 minutes, and out, gone. He talks to people. Now, I don't want to praise him like he's some kind of a saint or something, but he's different. He will talk to a person for about 15 minutes and just go. I mean, I seen him.
Yeah.
And he's, I don't know, I say that he's going to...
He's good. He's good. He's got a big challenge, and Blaine Higgs has done a good job. There's the other thing. I think he's a bit of David Alward's secret weapon. Yeah. Always, a good premier needs
a good finance minister.
A good finance minister.
What a sense of humor.
Frank McKenna had Alan Marr.
Yeah.
And Alan Marr was considered more honest than, he's just, so people trusted him. And when you trust your finance minister, you trust your government. Generally speaking, there's lots of exceptions to that. But so between the two of them, he is probably his single biggest asset is Blaine Higgs. And Blaine Higgs is straight up, he's honest, and he's straightforward. He says, I got a big problem here and I'm going to solve it. You've elected me to solve it, and I'm going to solve it. Even if you hate me, I'm going to solve it. And that's the kind of politician you want. You want somebody who's willing to throw it all on the line and say, this is the way, not in a dictatorial way, but I came here to do a job. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you my 100% best. There'll be no decisions that are self-serving, like, you know, making decisions that I know is going to increase my own bank account. And I'm going to do it for the people of New Brunswick. So far, that image is intact.
Last point. What's how do you grade this government so far? A plus?
No,
I
give it a B plus.
B plus?
B plus. Yeah. You know, it's right around there. There's nobody's up in arms and anger talking about anything. If you ask anybody today about the government, it's like it's a non-issue.
But our little government wouldn't talk to the citizen. But this government talks to the citizen.
No,
they
he
communicate.
Has to keep doing it. I don't know if he reads your blog, but if he does, you know, I'd say he does. He's got to keep doing it, and he needs to realize.
I'll send this link to David Alward himself. Any final word to David Alward?
Yeah, but he needs to not do what Frank did, or Sean did. Sean just went. I don't know what happened to Sean, to be honest with you. It looked like he had no counsel, no advice, no nothing. He's just like, I don't understand what happened to him. David needs to realize this is going to be a very short period of time when he's the premier, whether he gets reelected every time he wants to get reelected. Within 8 years.
Short time politics.
It's always a short time. And he's going to spend more of his life looking back on his life as a premier than he will be as the premier himself. And that is going to be the most valued time in his life. And the question is can he look forward to that point and look back and say, I'm going to make every decision so that when that time comes, I look back. There's one thing about mistakes, but there's another thing about doing something wrong. So far, I cannot perceive that, what he's done that would make him feel ashamed or embarrassed or anything like that. And my opinion is he's got to keep going right down that track. Whatever he believes in, believe in it that's for the best good of all the people. And if he does that, people are going to stick with him, the way they did with Louis, the way they did with Frank, and the way they didn't with the other guys.
That's it. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.